He built an empire with his own two hands. Yet when he stepped into his store undercover, what he found shattered him. In the back room, a janitor, quiet, overlooked, invisible to most, was breaking down in tears. But those tears weren't just about struggle. They carried the weight of something darker, something no CEO expects to find inside their own company. What hidden truth was buried in those sobs, and why did it expose a reality far bigger than one man's pain? This is the story, and it will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. On paper, Marcus Johnson was the picture of success, a self-made CEO who had climbed from nothing to build one of the fastest-growing retail chains in the country. He wore the title proudly, but behind the polished offices and endless boardroom meetings, he never forgot where he came from. To Marcus, every worker mattered, from the managers on the floor to the people who cleaned up long after everyone else had gone home. But success has a way of building walls, and Marcus wondered if those at the top truly saw what happened beneath the surface. He decided to find out for himself. No cameras, no announcement, just Marcus, dressed in plain clothes, stepping quietly into one of his own stores. For most, he was just another man passing through. To him, it was a chance to see his empire through the eyes of those who lived it every day. The store looked ordinary. Bright aisles, busy customers, shelves lined neatly with products. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet, as Marcus walked deeper inside, something in the air felt heavy, almost unsettled. He couldn't explain it then, but he was about to stumble upon a truth that would test everything he believed about loyalty, justice, and the hidden struggles inside his own walls. Marcus wandered through the aisles, pretending to be just another shopper. He watched the cashiers smile politely, the floor staff rushing to restock shelves, the steady rhythm of a store that seemed to run smoothly. But beneath the surface, something was off. He noticed how employees stiffened when certain supervisors passed by, how conversations dropped to silence the moment a manager entered the room. It wasn't the normal tension of retail. It was heavier, like fear tucked behind forced smiles. Then, in the back corner, Marcus heard muffled sobs. Curious, he followed the sound past the stockroom and into a narrow hallway where the janitor sat on an overturned bucket, head buried in his hands. His uniform was worn, his shoes scuffed, his shoulders trembling as if he carried a weight too heavy to bear. Marcus froze. This wasn't the image of a man simply tired from work. This was pain, raw and breaking. And when another employee hurried past, pretending not to see him, the truth became clearer. People weren't just ignoring him, they were avoiding him. Later, Marcus would piece the story together. How the janitor Samuel had been mocked by managers for his accent, how he was routinely given the worst shifts, stripped of overtime pay he'd earned, and forced to clean up messes others left on purpose just to watch him struggle. Customers passed him like he was invisible. Supervisors treated him like he didn't belong. And all of it Samuel endured silently, because when he once tried to speak up, he was told he should be grateful just to have the job. Marcus's chest tightened. He thought he knew the challenges of building a life as a black man in America. But this was happening inside his own store, under his own brand, with his own name hanging over the door. He kept watching. The supervisor entered again, this time tossing a stack of dirty rags at Samuel's feet, muttering something Marcus couldn't hear, but could read in the janitor's flinch. The other workers looked away. No one stepped in. And Marcus realized it wasn't just neglect. It was cruelty, quiet, calculated, and allowed to thrive because no one thought the janitor's suffering mattered. Every part of Marcus wanted to rip off his disguise, to call out the injustice in that moment, but he held back. He needed to see the full picture, to understand how deep this rot went. So he stayed silent, watching, his anger burning hotter with every passing second. As Samuel wiped his eyes and forced himself back onto his feet, Marcus knew this wasn't just about one man's tears. It was about an entire system of cruelty that had thrived in the dark, and now the light was about to pour in. Marcus could no longer stay silent. He stepped out from the shadows, his disguise still intact, and watched as the supervisor barked orders at Samuel like he wasn't human. The janitor's hands trembled as he scrubbed the floor on his knees, while customers walked past without so much as a glance. Then came the words, sharp, venomous, and loud enough for everyone to hear. You people should know your place. Time seemed to stop. The store, once buzzing with casual noise, suddenly felt suffocating. Samuel froze, the rag slipping from his hand. His eyes glistened not just with humiliation, but with the kind of pain born from years of being told he was less. Around them, employees shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. Silence gave the supervisor power, and Samuel stood alone in it. Marcus's heart pounded. Every instinct told him to tear off the mask, to unleash the full weight of his authority. But he knew this moment was bigger than him, bigger than Samuel. It was the raw, undeniable truth of what unchecked racism looked like when no one believed the world was watching. Finally, the supervisor sneered, kicking the bucket over so dirty water spilled across the freshly cleaned floor. Samuel bent down again, his shoulders slumping in defeat. That was it, the breaking point. Marcus felt something in him snap. The man who had built an empire from nothing, the man who had endured his own share of prejudice, could no longer watch another soul be crushed under it. He stepped forward, his voice sharp and unshakable, cutting through the silence. Enough. Heads turned. Whispers rippled through the store. No one knew yet who he really was, but they were about to find out. Because in that moment, Marcus realized this wasn't just about one janitor's tears. It was about an entire system of cruelty that had thrived in the dark, and now the light was about to pour in. The room went still when Marcus revealed the truth. The stranger who had quietly walked among them was not just another customer. He was the CEO, the man whose name was on every paycheck in the building. Gasps echoed through the aisles, eyes widened, and for the first time, the supervisor's arrogance collapsed into silence. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence alone carried the weight of authority, but his words carried something even heavier, the weight of disappointment. He reminded them that every worker deserved dignity, that no title or uniform determined a person's worth, and that cruelty, especially the kind rooted in racism, had no place under his leadership. Samuel stood there stunned, his tears still visible, but for once he wasn't invisible. For the first time, someone with power saw him not as a janitor, not as a burden, but a man whose pain mattered. And in that moment, the balance shifted. But Marcus knew this wasn't just about one confrontation or one store. It was a mirror reflecting something far larger. The quiet injustices happening in countless workplaces, in countless lives where silence allows cruelty to thrive. What he witnessed was not an isolated problem. It was part of a system, one that hides in plain sight until someone dares to expose it. The question is, how many more Samuels are out there right now breaking under the weight of racism no one bothers to see? How many more moments like this are ignored because it's easier to look away? This story isn't just about Marcus or Samuel. It's about us, about the world we allow to exist when we choose silence. So I'll leave you with this. When you see injustice, will you walk past it, or will you be the one to finally say, enough?